Hey there, internet friends. Welcome to another episode of That D Plus Show. Class is in session for the only show from that nerdy site that lets you know what kind of quality to expect right from the name. I'm your host, Trevor Starkey, and each week we dive into a different Disney Plus offering and discuss its history, how it holds up today, and our general impressions. If you like the show, we would love it if you like, subscribe, rate, review, share the podcast with your friends, all that fun stuff. Joining me today, we have Cameron Abbott. How you doing, Cameron?
Hey, what's going on, Trevor?
What is going on? And today we're going to be talking about the Bad Batch Season 2 episode, The Solitary Clone. This is an episode that came out last week, and I picked it because it was very good and a very solid standalone episode, so we could hop in, discuss it. There was a possibility Logan was going to join us. He obviously is not, well, not obviously, but he has not been keeping up with the Bad Batch. You have not been keeping up with, you didn't see like all of season 1. Obviously, you haven't been watching season 2 yet. But this felt like a solid enough standalone thing that you could jump into this one, not really be missing out on anything in particular, and we could have a fun discussion about it. So yeah, that is why we're talking about that this week. As I said there, it was originally released January 11th, 2023, has a runtime of about 30 minutes. And in the Star Wars timeline of things, we are in the post-Revenge of the Sith, pre-Star Wars Rebels, pre-Obi-Wan Kenobi era of things, kind of in this dark period of the Galactic Empire. Roll call here. Our director is Saul Ruiz for this episode, who I believe was also the director of the Aftermath episode that you and I talked about, 2 years ago now. His experience is 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, 12 episodes of Rebels, 6 episodes of Star Wars Resistance, and in the time since that last episode and this one, he also directed 4 episodes of Tales of the Jedi, as well as he's now done 7 episodes of The Bad Batch. We also have Brad Rao acting as a supervising director for the series. He's done 5 episodes of Star Wars Rebels, 18 episodes of Star Wars Forces of Destiny, whatever that show is, 7 episodes of Star Wars Resistance, and now 19 episodes of The Bad Batch. Our writer here is Amanda Rose Munoz. She did 2 episodes on the first season of The Bad Batch, and then this is her second season debut, so her 3rd episode altogether. But she's also done additional work as a script coordinator on Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Resistance, Star Wars Clone Wars in that last season, Star Wars The Bad Batch, and Tales of the Jedi. Our cast of characters, of course, D. Bradley Baker as the titular Bad Batch, although of the Bad Batch we only have Crosshair in this episode, but he also voices other clone troopers and Commander Cody, of course. D. Bradley Baker having been Olmec in Legends of the Hidden Temple, which I always like to shout out whenever he's on a thing, as well as Daffy Duck back in Space Jam, Klaus in American Dad, and he's been doing a number of clone trooper voices since the Clone Wars debuted back in 2008. Michelle Ang as Omega, not actually in this episode, but still credited nonetheless, has been in Fear the Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead Flight 462. Matthew Wood, getting to reprise his role as Battle Droids, of course, has also been General Grievous. Shout out to our friend Chloe Naylor. And he's been doing a number of Battle Droid voices, as well as various other miscellaneous voices and roles for Lucas for many, many years. Max Middleman plays Governor Groton in this episode. He's also the English voice of Saitama in One Punch Man, as well as Ryuji in Persona 5. And he was Filbo Fiddlepie in Bugsnax. Shelby Young is the voice of the PA, as well as the tactical droid. She has been voicing Princess Leia in a lot of the Lego Star Wars stuff, including Skywalker Saga, the Lego Terrifying Tales, Lego Summer Vacation shorts, or like specials that we've done episodes on recently. She's also Soph Blaskowitz in Wolfenstein Youngblood. Noshir Dalal, I just moved my page, is another Stormtrooper voice. He's also the voice of Vice Admiral Rampart here. He was seen last year in Horizon Forbidden West as the role of Katalo, your companion who loses an arm early on in the game. He's also the voice of Sekiro in Sekiro. And then he's been in a number of other assorted gaming roles. And lastly, Tasia Valenza plays Tawny Ames here. She has a previous voice lineage in games, including Sniper Wolf in the Metal Gear Solid games, as well as Poison Ivy in the Batman Arkham series, as well as many other Poison Ivy roles among DC products, including a lot of like the Lego DC stuff. Some trivia here. This episode is the first appearance post Order 66 of Commander Cody. Cody is one of the few named clones we get in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and he was also, of course, a recurring character in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Unlike Captain Rex, though, Cody did not appear in Star Wars Rebels, so his fate after Order 66 has been unknown up until and beyond this episode. Obviously, we get a glimpse of him, but we don't know what will become of Commander Cody. The first battle memorial, where Cody and Crosshair have their conversation following at the end of the episode, is a tribute to the clone troopers who died during the first battle of the Clone Wars on Geonosis. It is located in the plaza of the Republic Center for Military Operations. And lastly here, Tawny Ames mentions her colleague Mina Bonteri. She was a senator for Onderon and a mentor to Padme Amidala prior to the Clone Wars. She would eventually go on to join Dooku and the Separatists, as seen in Clone Wars Season 3, Episode 10, Heroes on Both Sides. So, fun little tie-in back to that era in a very Clone Wars-esque episode of The Bad Batch. So, Cam, what did you think hopping into this episode? Where are you at with Bad Batch? Did you ever watch anything past Aftermath, that first episode last year?
No, as Disney Plus was key to remind me that I had not.
Nice.
Like, oh yeah, Bad Batch. You left off after the first bit. You want to catch up? It's like, actually, could I please go to season 2, episode 4, please and thank you. Yeah, no, episode 3. Sorry, there's 4 episodes now. Yes. I noticed. I almost clicked on episode 4 without realizing it, and then I was like, wait a minute, what was the episode's name again? Because I thought it was just Solitary, and I was like, oh, I think a Solitary. Anyway, I was able to figure it out. Got it taken care of. Watched it. I have to say, I thought it was pretty fantastic. I think that this reinforces. It's a little bit of a spoiler for me because Crosshair, the fate of Crosshair as like he relates to the rest of the Bad Batch is kind of like up in the air in Aftermath. Like,
in Aftermath, he's very quickly separated from the rest of the Bad Batch. Like he's in season 1. It was kind of a, oh yeah, that happens a couple episodes into the season, but yeah, he's very much the antagonist for a lot of season 1.
And rightfully so. I think that he's I really appreciate that he is. It's clear that like whatever is also up with the Bad Batch is happening to him, but he has made a different choice, like a very starkly different choice, which is he knows where he believes he finds purpose, and that's where he feels he belongs, and that's with the Empire. And I felt that was, and I also thought on the flip side of that is Cody, to our understanding, still has his inhibitor chip, right?
Yeah, and that's excuse me. I guess that's like the big plot point of season 1 that is that you are missing is.
Oh, did it malfunction?
The inhibitor chip, it doesn't malfunction in the Bad Batch, but it was delayed and like their mutations kind of like impeded its progress.
Yes.
Crosshair is the one that like never really like gets away from it, but everybody else in the Bad Batch, a few episodes into the season, has it removed so that they don't. Like Rex kind of introduces them and they kind of learn what it did, and obviously see the aftermath of what it did with Order 66. So they all have their chips removed, but Crosshair, because he had kind of already gone a separate way from them, is still full in the, as we see in this episode, a good soldier follows orders kind of like mindset.
Oh, 100%. I thought it was fantastic, but I also found it now very interesting about Commander Cody, it's such an interesting take on, we know Commander Cody because he literally, like for most Star Wars fans who haven't watched Clone Wars, he's the guy who shoots Obi-Wan's lizard mount in episode 3. He is full on clone soldier in that mentality with that inhibitor chip. So the question now becomes, okay, my question now is like, what happened to, like, is it just, did Cody, despite the inhibitor chip, make that hard decision after such a long time?
Mm-hmm.
And I love seeing kind of like Cody was like a decorated like veteran commander. He was Captain Cody. He was second in command to General Kenobi. Like he was the go-to guy for Kenobi, and seeing the clones get like it's kind of what was set up at the beginning. No, to be fair, I did watch that at the beginning of the next episode. No, sorry, no, I was in the same still the same frame of episodes, because it was Tarkin's like talking about moving out of the clone era into a recruitment era, I believe, in episode 3 of.
Oh yeah. But season 1, yeah.
Season 1. So we know that. So I am aware of that, and where that kind of goes from there is it's really interesting to see what ends up happening with the way that the clones are, like, you have the 2 clones who are talking about like about the recruitment act and how it's been delayed and like all this stuff, and it's like very much like they're realizing they're getting phased out.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment they see Crosshair, they like immediately like get up and leave the table after he sits down with them. It's like there's still such a disdain for the Bad Batch,
mm-hmm.
even with him being the only one left, and Cody being like he requested Crosshair for this mission. There seems to be a bigger piece of what Cody is a part of that may not, like, judging from like what you've mentioned, it doesn't sound like he has showed up much in Bad Batch.
He has not. No, this is his first time. Yeah, this is like season 1. We see like Rex a little bit and stuff, but yeah, this is the first time we've seen Cody.
So the question now is like, what happened to Cody?
Mm-hmm.
And that's fascinating for me. Now I have like an even bigger incentive, because I do want to I have been wanting to watch Bad Batch for a while now. I'm just going to end up watching it at this point. It's been really great. Everything I've seen from it so far has been really good. 3 episodes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I will have to say like that the approach they took on the moral, like, once, like, this feels so in touch with Andor for some reason. There's just so much of the dregs of the Republic became the Empire and became the Imperial officers. And you can tell, like, when he says, like, string up her body in the town square, that's such a, like, okay, yeah, like, this is, it's not like, oh, well, this is the Empire. It's the beginning of the reason why the Empire, which we saw, to be fair in the films, like, very little of, like, from the Empire's perspective. The reason why the Empire has that level of reputation that they are the big bad and big evil, I feel like a lot of times the not prequel, like, but the stuff that takes between the prequels and the sequel, or the original trilogy, is oftentimes like not doing, I think, enough legwork to show kind of like the evils of the Empire,
mm-hmm.
which leads to like the thing about it being like, yeah, there is some like justification to the fascism. But I feel like they've really honed in on the message of the, like, we need to show the Empire as a fascist, what will end up becoming a fascist dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to show how freedoms and everything get eventually rolled back. And it can't just be, well, the politics of it, but we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on the Jedi. It's no, we're focusing on like the people who are really actually impacted and affected by this. And one of them is, this is a stronghold of the Separatists that never fell.
Yeah.
It was considered unimportant to the war effort for whatever reason, but they never fell. And it reminds me a lot of like the idea of like those pockets of the South after Appomattox Courthouse that still tried to struggle after the Civil War, but without any like, you know, and without any actual leadership and everything. They just kind of all fell apart and either went home or died in useless battles that don't even get really cataloged. Like, it took what, two groups, or just a single battalion, like not even full battalion, single unit, 2 units of stormtroopers to take out this last stronghold of a long by forgotten movement.
Yeah, I mean, I think this episode is showing us still how like elite Cody and Crosshair are in particular, as well as especially like, yeah, sending clone troopers to fight battle droids. And yeah, I don't think they were. I mean, we see at the beginning of the episode, like, these people aren't looking for a war. It's a governor showing up and they're saying, we don't recognize your claim. You guys won your war, but like, we don't abide by part of the Republic. And so, yeah, I don't think they were like really out for a fight.
I should preface that you are correct. I did not take the impression that they wanted the fight. The fight was clearly brought to them, but it reminds me of when pockets of still like Confederacy were all of a sudden put under like military jurisdiction during the Reconstruction era. You had like governors or like Washington appointed government officials sent down to the South to, quote unquote, put them in order. And I'm also, by the way, I'm not glamorizing the Confederacy on any level here, by the way. I apologize if it comes off that way with what I just said. But the idea basically of like, yeah, they weren't out there, fighting, but the reality is they weren't part of the, like, they are, it's that inevitability of the war has finally come to your doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do about it? And they're like, well, we're going to stake our claim. You don't get to be governor over us. And it's like, cool. Here's two of the most elite clone troopers that have ever been, and you're going to have to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to see a little bit of that. Like, let's also give a massive shout out, a little bit of that negotiation style of Kenobi that we got to see through Cody here. That was pretty neat. That was a straight up Kenobi move that he pulled, a la the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my favorite things about this episode is it does show, I don't know in the timeline necessarily how much time has passed since Order 66, but I mean, presumably all of season 1 of the Bad Batch, which is probably like a year-ish at least. So we're some time removed from Order 66, and Cody has been out there doing whatever he's been doing, and he's been seeing, hey, like, Order 66 was programmed into all their brains and they had to do their thing. And he's kind of realizing now that that's all like said and done, I don't know if we're on the right side. And we get to see so much of that in this episode because he doesn't like, he is trying to be there for peace. He knows he's on a mission to save the governor and whatnot, but he doesn't want to kill more people than he needs to. And I think the episode also smartly brings battle droids back into the fold so that you can like get away with that. And it's not like he's out there killing civilians or something like that. And so like when he's there at the end, I think he very much wants a peaceful resolution to this. Like, as he says, like, do this for your people. Like, let's not have more people die than need to die. And it's the just evil asshole governor who's like, you made a deal, I did not, kill her. And Cody doesn't, he's not the one that pulls the trigger, Crosshair is, because Crosshair's so in that a good soldier follows orders kind of like mindset. And he is much more in the, like, he's perfectly content in this new order. And that's like the other big season 1 thing I'll kind of like inform you of here is the end of season 1 brings the Bad Batch and Crosshair like together at odds back on Kamino, and basically the Empire destroys and bombs Kamino with all of them there, knowing full well that it will take Crosshair out, and they have to kind of like reunite to escape Caminos and the wreckage and like survive. And even knowing that the Empire was ready to like consider him collateral damage and dispose of him, Crosshair has come back and like came back for more orders and stuff like that. Like he's given an option at the end of the season to rejoin the Bad Batch, and basically he refuses, and so they leave him stranded on Kamino for I think they say a good number of cycles at the beginning of this episode, 37 or something like that. Yeah.
32 days basically.
Yeah.
Like of Kamino days, whatever those are.
Yeah.
So it's possible it could have been like more than a month.
Yeah.
But basically they left him in wreckage of Kamino, which is a water planet.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of where his journey has been, is like he was the company man all of last season, and the company disposed of him, and he has still come back to the company. And so that's like, we see basically there's no getting through to him.
Nope.
Right. Like, even if that is still the inhibitor chip, like, he's made plenty of decisions here. Whereas Cody is saying like, hey, yeah, we aren't battle droids. We make our decisions, and now we have to live with them. And I love that is his, like, I think, coming to terms with what he's done, and what the Empire is, and that he's not in a place where he wants to be a part of it anymore. And so we get him going AWOL at the end of the episode, which leaves now I don't think there's necessarily a redemption arc for Cody, but as somebody who we got to spend so much time with over the course of the Clone Wars, getting to see that there is more to his story than the end of Revenge of the Sith, leaves me very excited for that potential.
There is something that I like quite a lot about Cody. So one of my favorite things was watching any episode where there would, like, Dave Filoni loved leaving just taking the lampshade and throwing it around whenever he got to do something with Cody and Kenobi together. Like, always just some line or something about, like, it's like a shame about that inevitable betrayal that's coming his way. Like, just so many instances of, like, where it's like, is Cody gonna save Obi-Wan? Like, yeah, we know he will, but, like, there's always that extra frame of moment to remind us one day he will shoot out, like, he'll try to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
That this friendship, unlike the friendship of, like, Rex and Ahsoka and Anakin, that has, like, a much a bigger thing, but it's always just, like, such a fun, for me, it's just a fun thing of being like, that's right, one day he will inevitably betray him.
Mm-hmm. Dramatic irony.
Yep. And it's just such a great moment of him talking about living with decisions when he says that we have to live with them. At that, and in that moment for me, it's like he's at that wall, he's looking at it, and I think it's just him. Like, my interpretation of that scene is him really coming to terms with everything that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's, like, a quote unquote redemption arc for him, because I don't really think these clones need one for Order 66. They were literally biologically engineered to execute Order 66. It literally is like, great example of a recent show. It's like being angry at the corpse of the person the cordyceps have infected in The Last of Us.
Sure.
Like, oh no, you've literally been taken over by a fungus that's making you try to eat me. Oh no, the betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not really the same, but I understand any Dread's hesitation to clone troopers, because I'll never forget how great they did that in the first episode of The Bad Batch. Like, what a tremendous introduction to, like, Order 66 in such a great way.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing that kind of, like, take a full circle for Cody in this moment is great, because it's like he went AWOL. Well, where's Cody going? Like, we don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. I think that it's cool that they're bringing in kind of like these one-off troopers of what's going on with these troopers that we knew throughout the Clone Wars and, like, what ends up happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
Crosshair, I love how at the very end, it's like, yeah, we do have to live with the decisions we've made. And Crosshair is getting up before his alarm goes off. He is 100% on board. Also, massive shout out to Vice Admiral Rampart,
mm-hmm.
who is on his phone in every meeting.
He's very much, from the first couple episodes of this season, he's very much being set up as, like, probably the big bad of this season of just bureaucracy, because he has been kind of or at least in the first couple episodes. He's not in episode 4, but in the first couple episodes of this season, the rest of the Bad Batch is on, like, a whole other mission, and the clone troopers that, like, are thwarted by the Bad Batch, they go to make their report at the end of that episode, and this Vice Admiral character is like, Clone Force 99, all the records of them are that they died. I see that your report says you encountered them, change your report. And the clone trooper's like, I'm not going to do that. And so the admiral, spoilers, kills that clone and basically says, I'm going to clear that report then, because them having survived the Camino stuff that I believe he was responsible for. It's been a while since I watched the end of season 1. Like indicate that he failed at exterminating them. And so he is, he's very much kind of like doing whatever it takes to keep his own head. And so, yeah, he's very much going to be the bad guy.
Is that why he has Crosshairs on such a tight leash?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Because Crosshairs knows the truth.
Yeah.
And so, I'm wondering if he sent him on a suicide mission to try to get him killed then with this like a single unit trying to go in and rescue a governor. Like,
yeah, possibly. I think there's also just he's going to use whatever tools at his disposal. And I mean, and he treats these as tools, like very much like,
he refers to them by their serial number.
Exactly. He's back to their serial numbers. He doesn't acknowledge their names and stuff like that.
Where's Captain Cody? Who?
Yeah. CC 2224.
Yeah, and he goes,
it is, yeah.
He went AWOL.
He went AWOL, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Guess clone loyalty isn't what it used to be, kind of thing.
Such a great smarmy line. Was he in his cell phone on like his data pad and all those other scenes as well?
I mean, he's definitely like when he's telling the other people to like doctor the report, he's looking at a report on a data pad. So yeah.
Cool. I love this middle manager.
Mm-hmm.
It's not I'm not going to get in trouble for this attitude. And I love seeing it in Star Wars because it's one of the things I loved about Andor.
I was going to say it's another nice companion character to Andor and the ISB bureaucracy that we got to see in that.
This ISB who takes the bureaucracy so seriously, so intensely, and then you have a middle management like a rear admiral. Like that's pretty high up. It's an admiral, but it's a rear admiral.
Vice admiral.
Sorry. Oh, then he's like that's really high up. That's not even like a third rank. That's second to an admiral. Like. Yeah, he's pretty high up, and so he's like, I love that's that level of bureaucracy is like, he's a vice admiral, but he's stationed at the base. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, normally like a vice admiral would have like a ship under them of some sort. Anyway, that being said, this is fascinating. I love the IBS stuff from ISB.
Yeah.
ISB, sorry. IBS is an intestinal thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, ISB is like, I love that aspect of Andor. And so getting to see once again, the bureaucracy of the Empire and like the stories being told inside of it are so underutilized. And it's so great to show how do these rebellions succeed because of the complacency within bureaucracy in fascism is inevitably going to be banal and people will be after their own, like securing their own personal interests over the interests of the actual bureaucracy that they serve. And that's what you see with him murdering that guy is it's 100% that. It's even if he's not directly responsible, it's like, these guys are officially dead. I'm not going to be the one to kick up dirt to say, oh no, they're actually alive. Cause who knows who that could even be connected to. Like, we're not going to deal with that.
Yeah.
Like I like, there's that part of me that just loves that because it's just so true to form. Yeah.
All that said, one of the things I also want to highlight about this episode is great action and getting to see Crosshair. Like it is a good showcase for Crosshair's abilities and what made him a great clone trooper. And from him sniping down the barrel of the tank.
C'est magnifique, like so good.
Yeah, or the reflective puck shots that he takes up in that little spiral staircase, up through the ultimate kill shot combo tag team move that he and Cody have of Cody throwing the puck and him just hitting it right the exact right moment that he needs to do all those ricochets and take out the tactical droid.
Yeah, not even just that, but also like when the tank is firing on his position. Mm-hmm. It is firing on his position. He doesn't move an inch.
Yeah.
He moves not because the tank shot at him, but to adjust his sight. And I'm just like, when he was doing that, when it's blowing up all around him, and he just takes those fine, precise moments on his scope, and just dials in and is just waiting until it's literally the barrel's pointing directly at him. It's the kill shot on him or a kill shot on the tank. And he takes it and just blows up the tank. And it's just awesome. Also, shout out to Cody figuring out like the best way to get the Doriticas to be blown up is to delay the explosive on a EMP grenade that you throw. Like you attach a regular grenade to an EMP grenade and you throw it. And so the delay of the EMP hitting first, then the actual live grenade going off, blows up the Doritica. It's like, man, Cody's awesome. Cody, we always knew he was awesome. He was awesome through the Clone Wars cartoon. And it's great to see he hasn't missed a step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, shout out to just the good, like, old-fashioned Clone Wars kind of episode. And that's, like, I will say, just as a heads up, if you are going to get into the Bad Batch on this, first season of the Bad Batch, not a lot of highs, I'll say. Like,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it very much feels like it. And I mean, certainly not a ton has stuck with me from the first season. Like, has a good opening in it with Aftermath. But then it has a lot of episodes that are, I mean, the large thrust of the Bad Batch season 1 is the, Bad Batch getting Omega and kind of like bringing her into the fold, which is, Mando and Grogu kind of vibes.
Okay, cool.
Or it's the like bringing in a child.
Oh yeah,
that they've done so many times
rough,
in recent Star Wars, memory and stuff like that. So there are like repetitive beats in terms of just that general storytelling stuff, and then from there it ends up being a lot of like, they go on like a mission of the week kind of thing, and it's not like end of the season the Camino stuff, going back to Camino, kind of like returning there. I would say like I remember 3 like arcs: the opening, them taking out their inhibitor chips, and then like an end kind of face off against Cad Bane on Camino, and on Camino kind of thing, and then there's like then there are like a lot of filler episodes, like they go on a mission to find a baby Rancor for Jabba the Hutt at some point, and it's like, okay, that's a thing that happens. So like it, and admittedly, I like there are a ton of Clone Wars fillers too, Clone Wars series filler episode fillers that are probably in that same boat. So the reason I jumped on this one is I think it is a very good standout episode that like hits the highest highs of Clone Wars, and it also, as a result, then hits the highest highs of Bad Batch, since there hadn't been a ton. And I think the fact that it is able to focus on just really one character of the Bad Batch, I think helps it, because a lot of the other episodes, and I'll say even the episode that follows this one is another one that is, it splits up the Bad Batch, and so the following episode is like just Wrecker and Tech and Omega on a mission. Even kind of like kicks off and is like, yeah, Hunter and Echo are somewhere else, and we don't know where they are, but these guys go off on a mission, and it's a very tech-centric episode that we get in the next episode. And I think when they're able to do that and focus on that and focus on like what makes this Bad Batch character special and unique and stuff like that, I think that's where the show can really shine. So that's just kind of a warning if you do go back and revisit Bad Batch season 1 stuff.
That's good to know, actually.
Yeah, it's very much in that, like, there are your watch guides for Clone Wars, and they're like, hey, you can skip all these Jar Jar episodes or something like that. It's very much that kind of thing of like there are. You could probably find a watch guide of like, here are the Bad Batch episodes you should check out. And then there are a lot that are like, you'd be fine. Yeah. Any final thoughts or anything else you want to give a shout out to in this episode before we wrap up?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think it's a really solid episode. Definitely got my interest back into, the Bad Batch again. Star Wars has just been on a great kick for me lately. So I think that it's about time to, absolutely ruin it with the Bad Batch. I'm joking.
Yeah.
After you're like, hey, Cameron, don't set your hopes too high on this, okay? It's good, but it's not like good. It's good.
It's I want to temper expectations.
I appreciate that. That helped out.
It's never terrible stuff.
So it's never season 1 of the Clone Wars.
I would say it's never like the movie Clone Wars bad.
Well, I have a soft spot in my heart for Stinky.
I know, because you're weird.
I am.
So hey, maybe you'll love the Bad Batch. I don't know. But yeah, it's especially because we've been on such a great run with like especially Andor, and we were a lot of fans of especially the Dooku episodes of Tales of the Jedi. I would say there's a lot of Bad Batch that feels more like the Ahsoka episodes of Tales of the Jedi, which aren't bad. It's just a lot of it is maybe beats that we've seen before and doesn't reach the highs of Clone Wars or Rebels. But the Bad Batch, maybe in between seasons they've been able to kind of like retool things and we get a standout like this one. So here's hoping that the rest of season 2 is solid. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the report card where we grade from A+ to F. What do you want to give the Bad Batch, the Solitary Clone?
I would just give it a solid B+. I
Okay.
think that this is like, it's nothing phenomenal, but at the same time, it's really solid, good Star Wars.
I sit on an A on this one. I think it is a very solid episode. And it gets to be very focused, which I think is something that we don't always get in Star Wars animated stuff. So yeah. Extra credit, other suggestions if you like this. We have, of course, a flurry of Star Wars goodness, including, first and foremost, Andor, which definitely everybody should go watch. Then you have Tales of the Jedi, Star Wars The Clone Wars series, Star Wars Rebels, Obi-Wan Kenobi, The Book of Boba Fett, I don't know why that one's on here, The Mandalorian, and lastly, Zen, Grogu and Dust Bunnies, which is the 3-minute Studio Ghibli short that they did a while back. The things that there have been enough new things since we did the Aftermath episode that they kicked out Star Wars, the Clone Wars movie, Star Wars Resistance, the 2D micro series of Clone Wars stuff, Lego Star Wars All-Stars, and Star Wars Rebels shorts were all in the top 8 the last time we talked about Bad Batch. So shout out to all of the new Star Wars we've gotten on Disney Plus, I guess. Extracurriculars. You watching anything else on Disney Plus this week, Cameron?
You know what? Looks like I'm going to be watching more of the Bad Batch.
All right, there you go. In addition to this episode of the Bad Batch, I also watched this week's episode because again, this was last week's. This was episode 3, so episode 4 came out this week, and like I said, it was a tech-centric episode, which introduces kind of an evolution of pod racing. I think they call it riot racing. Cool. It's basically like a pod race, but with guns. And Ben Schwartz is in there as a droid who is driving the ship. So it's always fun seeing him pop up in animated stuff. He's very fun in it. And so yeah, shout out to this week's episode of the Bad Batch. And then also I have continued watching National Treasure: Edge of History. So that is still a thing that's going on. Big revelations this week in terms of the mystery and tying characters together, but also revelations in terms of I guess we didn't see that person die, so it makes sense that they're back, kind of stuff. So, I don't think I watched anything else. So, but yeah, that'll do it for this week's episode. Thank you, Cam, for joining me to talk about The Bad Batch, The Solitary Clone. You find Cameron at RevCabot, 2 B's and 2 T's. Anything you want to give a shout out to there, Cam?
Yeah, I want to give a massive shout out to our most recent podcast we did, which was the top 10 movies of 2022. We had a blast doing it. It was a lot of fun talking about movies, going through our lists, and just kind of tearing out stuff and having a good time. It's been a while since we've been able to do it. I know that we're really excited to do our Game of the Year and have that come out soon. Just be looking forward to it.
Cool. Yeah. That was me, Cameron, and Logan joined us for our our movie of the year, film of the year conversation. So yeah, definitely go check out that episode of That Nerdy Site Show. You can follow me at Trevor J. Starkey. I will give a shout out to the Let's Plays that Cameron and I have been doing, where Cameron is dragging me so far not kicking and screaming through Elden Ring. So you can catch a couple of Let's Plays of him helping carry me through Elden Ring. And sometimes he deliberately leads me to my death and gets a chuckle. And then other times that backfires and he dies a whole bunch as well. So ha 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 ha. Yeah, I think I said, like, when you die in the episode more than I do, it's a good episode for me. So shout out to that. He and I are gonna hop in and play a little bit more and record some future episodes right after this as well. So stay tuned for more on our Elden Ring saga. You can follow all of us over at That Nerdy Site or go to thatnerdysite.com for all the latest from us. Once again, if you like what you heard, please rate, review, like, subscribe, share the podcast with your friends, all that fun stuff. As always, thank you for joining us. Stay nerdy, be good to each other, class dismissed, and may the force be with you.
And also with you.